So before I enter the whole Tailwind, it's quite viral technology. I will share my journey of styling, how I write styles. So it all started with CSS, and I open HTML. I put some markup, then I put some classes just to target the elements I want to style. And I go to my CSS file sheet, and I put all styles just to style the site I want to look. And when I was learning, I know the SCSS, which is like super empowering the CSS abilities. And I have possibility to use mixins, for loops, mixins, fors, imports my colors and all the files, and use string interpolation. And when the project starts to getting more demanding, I was just thinking about maybe I have to think about architecture of my styling, and there BEM comes to my mind. And BEM is block element modifier, which is only the way we write our class names, not any technical library we install. And it's only the style I write my class names. So it doesn't affect the final build. And this time, that time when I was learning, I started using frameworks. I started with React. And in React, there's a styled components. And styled components is quite interesting library because you can use your props and inside your CSS. And this is quite magic, but it does a job. And next, I was using CSS modules, where you have this style encapsulation, so you can only use one style per component in your component. So it's so it creates the encapsulation of your styles. And I switched to Angular, and in Angular there is a view encapsulation and CSS built by provided by default, and it's something similar to CSS modules where you can just play with the encapsulation of your styles. In Angular, we have Shadow DOM, so it's quite similar to CSS modules. I had also a couple side projects in Vanilla.js using BEM and SCSS. And every project was different story and building your design system from the scratch. And many times I was thinking about name of my class, that the sophisticated name of my class ends up with only one property. And I was spending a lot of time thinking about the naming. And I started writing some utility classes just to make my work faster and start using it with just to not duplicate the styles. But it created such duplication that over my old CSS, there was a couple of duplications, and it was bulking, and I started to, no matter how hard I tried, it was starting to be complete nightmare to maintain all the stuff. And I had the opportunity working probably to build a greenfield project from scratch. This is our project we implemented. This is Angular with SSR, Angular Universal. And before I jump into implementation and everything, just 3 slides. I'm front-end developer and probably I have 3 years of experience, and I want to encourage you that you don't have to have 20 years of experience to make talks. And my biggest achievement so far was talk on NG Poland about declarative approach to RxJS and component design. And in my spare time, I do a lot of sport, and I'm baking bread in case AI will take our job. So about Prowly, we are a group of 90 amazing people. We are a product that we are building since 2013. If you want to follow our social, here's the links. And I can say that it's quite amazing company. Thank you for your support, guys, from Prowly. So, what's Tailwind? Tailwind, from definition, is utility-first styling framework. And what's the concept that stands behind it? Adam Ładan is, I hope I pronounce it well, Adam Ładan is creator of CSS, TailwindCSS. And I was like, when I was preparing for the talk, and I know that he had a lot of great content on his Twitter, X, and it all starts with like simple class name, that user profile. So we know from this that it describes the element of the HTML we are building with. And the Adam was inspired by this article about HTML semantics and front-end architecture written by Nicolas Gallagher, which is now React team, and he's working Meta. That time, because it's article from 2012, he was one of workers in Twitter. And in this article, there's a statement that the most reusable components are those in class names that are independent of the content. So when we jump back to our example of this simple class, it means that we shouldn't use a descriptive name of the block we are styling. We should rather use we should rather describe the HTML part of the class which it describes. And there's a option that in our UI there are multiple cards. Not all cards could be middle, medium, small, or like large. And we can have also like shadow card or unshadowed. So we just put some modifiers here. And when we just look at one of these modifiers, like card shadow, it turns out that there's only one property in our class. And when we see that maybe some other elements in our UI, for example, button, or like some model has a similar shadow, we will unplug it, unlink it from card, and we will just make it reusable to every element in our project. And when we apply all these, when we apply it to every modifier, it looks something like this, which is starting looking like Tailwind. And but when you start using Tailwind, and this is all utility classes, your markup starts look like this. And every front-end developer, or maybe every developer seeing this will say that it's ugly, of course, but I have a couple of takeaways of this approach, and I will elaborate on them. When we go to BEM documentation and go to the section naming, there is a quote that says that there are only two hard problems in computer science. First one is cache invalidation, and second is naming things. And Tailwind completely removes that naming things part. So we can now only stick to cache invalidation problem. And when we go to our markup and we just open it and starting to write our HTML and starting to put some classes, it's getting straight that you don't think about naming, you just think about the final outcome. So you just removes the spot between the CSS and HTML. And CSS file, sorry. And you are also focused on one file and one context. And we know that switching context is quite time-consuming. But the Tailwind is just completely opposite of what we are used to. But what other cool stuff Tailwind brings to the table? There, it comes with all predefined set of classes. And this is a screenshot from Tailwind cheat sheet. I really recommend it. It's quite nice to have all the classes on one site. It has all sorts of spacing, sizes, animation, layout, transition, and so on. It also comes with pseudo classes, which if you want to hover, you just apply hover on some class, focus, require, even nth child, and you can have odd, even, everything is included. Also pseudo classes, like before, after, first letter, everything works perfect. And Tailwind is mobile first framework, and it means that it gives you option to make your website responsive and gives you the media query of small, medium, extra large, and a couple more. And also media query of dark mode, when you can choose your user preferred theme of color the user wants. And what if you can find something in Tailwind in these utility classes? There are something like arbitrary values, and it looks like this when you put the magic value here, and it creates the class. And when I install it, Tailwind in our project, and it was first code review, I said no way I will just approve this code review, but because it's like it's a magic number, and we don't like magic numbers, of course. Maybe to extract it or something. But over time, when I was reading about the concept, and everything about Tailwind, it turns out that it's not reusable part of Tailwind. It's just custom value at this one place. So it's just sometimes it saves you a lot of time, and it's also quite powerful, and you can apply it to different places. Why, for example, sizes for custom elements or layouts like this. You can put more than one value. But are all these classes shipped to the client? No. Tailwind magic is that it scans your whole project, and it detects only classes you are using. So the final bundle should look like this. I have 7 classes here, and 7 classes will be generated. But there's trade-off of this approach. There are no strings interpolation in your project if you want to use classes like this, because if you want to put some state in with, it's just dynamic value, and Tailwind will not recognize it. And with all these features, why not to use Bootstrap or Material? And these are UI libraries with predefined components and some utility classes. And when we look at something like this line where on left we have convention and right configuration, these libraries are in convention place where they are quite strict, and customizing them is like quite pain. And on the configuration, you have totally freedom to use how you use and struct your design system, and Tailwind is somewhere between. And with Tailwind, you are building these kind of libraries or your design system, and it's fully customizable. When you install Tailwind, this is your place when it all starts. We can place, for example, WarsawJS color here, just to define our design system. And by default, when we go to our HTML markup and we click Command space or Control space, we will receive all the hints with WarsawJS combined. It just requires to install the extension for VS Code. It has also ability to integrate it with JavaScript, and it's one of the greatest feature. Maybe it's not the feature, but it's an option to use it this way. I just declared the breakpoints and breakpoints file, couple breakpoints, and I have this function which changes the number to a string with pixel in the end. And I also did breakpoint.dts for types in my application. And in Tailwind config.js, I import them and use them in this configuration of screens, these breakpoints. And when I go to my markup and I click Command Space, I have this hint that this value is applied. And also, I can go to my JavaScript component where I can use this breakpoint. And this is how I get integration with my CSS and JavaScript at the same time. I think it's amazing how we can just make it consistent. Yeah, so I already said that. This is one of the most flexible frameworks I've used. But what about maintainability of this class name hell? This is quite common looking markup in Tailwind, in your project with Tailwind. And Tailwind gives you the option to use directive apply. And it just, you can just take some similar or take the same class names. It's a styled button, and you can extract them to your global file styles and use it like a component. But you have to just name the classes and with some modifiers. This is quite similar, right, to classes we used to. And you can just use them and with some modifiers. It's something similar to BEM, right? But Adam Wadan said that when he would build it again from scratch, there will be no apply. And why is that? Because it breaks the principle of Tailwind that you have still go to your naming part, and you have to go and think about naming, and also your CSS will bulk. So I can recommend it just to use it if you really need it to really atomic elements like button or some anchor tag, but only in your project without any framework. And sometimes this is just the way to go, just to maintain these duplications. And you can take advantage of your framework if you are using it. Probably yes, because most of website use React or Angular or something else. You can extract it to components. You can use loops, and this is how you can maintain the duplications. And take advantage of your IDE. Already with Tailwind installed, it's already big deal. You can use multi-cursor to just highlight the classes you want to change. You can use, or you should use prettier to sort classes, because there's prettier extension to Tailwind. When you have these messy classes, which have, for example, in the end, I have, wait a second. When I click Command S, I will feel consistent that all the media queries are in the end, and all positioning is in the beginning. So it's quite nice just to have it in some kind of order. If you don't like the length of the lines, you can use some sort of extension in your IDE. I use inline fold, which is just folding my Tailwind classes, and it's like no big deal. So about the case study in Prowly, what are my thoughts about having Tailwind on production? So building the design system from scratch is you know, you have to maintain documentation. It's quite painful. And in Tailwind, it comes out of the box, and you have all hints with all your properties and values from your Tailwind config file. And it's also powerful with customization. You can literally do everything and anything you want with it. But I would say that making something more advanced, like very advanced animations, could be painful. So just don't like stick to one thing. If you can just drop it, I would say that it's totally optional to use it for very heavy animations, right? Or something very heavy when it's just time-consuming to figure out the thing. And we had also quite problem with server-side rendering and using external libraries, because sometimes classes wasn't like detected by Tailwind engine. And there's a solution to this because Tailwind gives you the safe list where you can place all the classes required to make your project look like you want. So after a successful test of our greenfield, we decided to migrate it to our main application, which is Tailwind, which is Angular 17, but not all at once, because we don't want to have conflicts. And it gives you ability to turn on all the plugins you want to use. Maybe you will have conflict with your font sizes, so just resolve them and then apply the certain group of classes Tailwind gives you. And what I learned from Tailwind as a software developer, because I find it very useful to my mindset, that we have to control our abstraction, because Tailwind is such a simple solution. We just use duplication, we just use copy-paste. This is not rocket science, it's just something different than we used to. And repetitions are not that bad, because we have tools to maintain them, and repetitions create something like coupling. And this is like mindset that you want to extract every place of your project to just one function. And sometimes it leads you to this coupling where things are getting hard to maintain. And copy-paste sometimes is the fastest solution, right? This is like doing it in 1 second. And this is what I have about Tailwind today. And I'm sure that when I was looking at the first time, I was sure, sorry, it was impossible to think this is a good idea at the first time. But you have to actually try it to understand why it's so great. So thank you. This is my presentation. If you have some question, I will try to answer them.
Tobiasz, I think you make a good case for your point that one does not need to be a developer, a software developer for 10 or 15 or 20 years in order to give a talk. Let's give him another hand for that, please. Yeah. Part of what we do here, because this is a community, is that we do want to encourage you folks to give a talk, to contribute, whatever you can. If you have a topic that you think is interesting, don't forget to bring it up. Who has any questions for Tobiasz about Tailwind?
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen, okay. I'm back in the kitchen.
We're gonna cook something.
Here we go. Who is it?
Hi. Thanks for the nice talk. Things that recently I used Tailwind for the first time because I keep hearing about it. So I used it in one side Next.js project. But my problem was that how to use it, right? Because I'm like a hardcore stout component since like years, since they came out, and I love it. And when I started using Tailwind, I was kind of like, man, I can't understand my code. There's like so much gibberish there, right? So I was kind of looking for like, how can I use it in a better way? And I found this apply thing that you said, right? But then you mentioned that you need to put everything in the global, right? That's how it was showed. But I'm like, man, that's a little crazy, right? I'm not gonna be putting all the styles of my project in the global. So I kind of, after a few days, reached the point that I start using CSS modules, right, in Next.js. And inside, I was doing exactly in the module what you described with the apply. I was creating the class, and I was kind of replicating using style components because I was naming properly what this whole section, for example, will be about, right? So when I go back to my code, I was actually, okay, this part of the code is like this wrapper of something, right? And you said that naming is bad. So can I ask, why is naming bad?
Why is naming bad?
Thank you. All right, question, you got that.
It was quite a long question.
Can I rephrase that? Why is naming bad?
Why is naming bad? I find out from the project I was working on, you just skip naming. And why is bad? Because you have to think about it. And what I can say, Tailwind gives me the ability to just go straight to the point. And as you said, you are trying to extract all these classes by apply, but by no maintaining the duplications. And this is exactly what Tailwind is not about, because there is this trade-off that your system will starting to be coupled, and it will be harder to maintain it. And the idea of Tailwind is just to make small change and don't break anything else, and just go step by step, because it's like I use a lot of my IDE abilities just to find the things I want and just change them. And I just think it's playing with this abstraction, right? So sometimes I don't have to put the abstraction on top of it just to change some classes. I just, Command F and find all the occurrences and just changing it. I'm not sure I answer your question, but I know how far I can go on Tailwind, because it's very opinionated, right? And of course, when I was preparing for the talk and I was reading Reddit, there's a lot of great comments there, but one of I like the most was Tailwind was made just to create viral opinions on itself. So.
Wow. Okay. So question: elegant, simple versus complex and abstract.
I mean, maybe I'm too much into style components, but I think the question is maybe like a follow-up. I think that actually naming is good, because when you go back to your code after some time, right, you can literally read and you know exactly which part of the code is doing what. Like with styled components, you have styled, wrapper, something, right? So I don't understand why would this be bad when, for example, with
question again?
Okay.
Thank you very much. We have a forum, by the way.
We can have discussion after.
We have a forum. In other words, if we'd like to discuss this, and I think it sounds like it's worth discussing, there's some discussion to be had there. We can always do that sometime after the talk. Right now, we have another question for you, Tobiasz, from the online audience.
Yeah. Okay. So one member of our online audience asked this question. Do you have any experience with working with Tailwind and component libraries together? What are your advices for implementing it?
Do we have any experience? We used to use material in our app, but we are migrating it to our brand new design system, which is now empowered with Tailwind. So I don't have this experience. And what can I say is, I'm not sure. It's hard to imagine how your project looks like, so it's hard to answer the question. Sorry about that.
The answer then is no, you don't have much experience with that.
I don't have.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's a good thing, I think, that this is compatible with Next.js, because where are we? WarsawJS, right? And I think that's a great tool. And I like also what the first questioner said about how he's managed to use it in other creative ways. Does anyone else have? Here we go.
Hello. I have a question. How you handle specificity issues? For example,
which issues?
Specificity, because it's still cascading style sheets. So if you wanted to, for example, override one class with another, so if it is defined below, it will be more important for. So how you handle, for example, overriding px2 with px4, for example, or
I'm using important and Tailwind. Without important.
Ooh.
Without important. But there's always.
Was that a trick question? Did you set him up?
So this is like interesting question.
Specificity under those circumstances.
I think I didn't totally get your question. Could you, is it like I have the class and some classes are below in the CSS, like the bundle, and how I override them in Tailwind? So this comes with and without using important. I had no experience without using important because I use it in Tailwind because I don't see any option to use it because I'm the person who is not, I don't like targeting elements depending and when it depends on your implementation. What it means, like I don't I don't like to rely on your HTML implementation when it comes to styling. I like the utility approach because it gives you the option to style every element you want. And I don't like to, use this ampersand and slashes inside. So I would say that I would just stick to important.
Again,
in Tailwind.
This audience will give you the tough questions, I promise. And it's also interesting, we should remember the context. This is the person who's making this presentation, and obviously Tailwind is useful, who's telling you from the beginning he's got 3 years maximum experience. Now maybe after 1 more year's experience using it, he would have an even better answer for that. Here we go.
Yeah, so I have a better answer to that. Oh, but actually I know the answer for the last question, so, but I don't know, I can keep it to...
Do you have a question?
Yeah, no, I have the answer for the last question. It's okay?
So does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
give this to me, wait, hold on a second. I think that this is an important question, obviously, and a lot of people are smiling on their face like, yeah, that's the question to ask. And I think that we have plenty of time to address that once this talk is over. This is a question and answer series. We're not going to have everyone from the audience answering the questions for the sake. I mean, oh, you have a question. Okay, here we go.
Can I give you the answer?
I will figure out the question.
Okay, it's very, very simple. So what matters in Tailwind is the order of the classes. So if, for example, you have a P like padding 10 at the beginning of the class, like of the class names, the value of the attribute class, then if you will have another padding I don't know, 20 or...
Yeah, that's right. We are using the prettier, which is sorts.
Exactly, and the order of the classes matters. Like it's not just random. It's very important. So when you have another definition of the padding later, then that padding definition matters for the So
yes. Yeah. I know this.
Yes, and I think that might be a good topic for a different talk next time. In other words, how to solve specifically that problem. Anyone else have another question for Tobiasz? All right. We got lots of questions for Tobiasz today. I love it. Here we go. Łukasz.
So if the order matters, why do you use the automated prettier system if you want to have...
if the order matters.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Okay, so as I said, I use prettier to order my classes just to be predictable that I know I will find something in the place I want. And as I told, I'm using the important, which overrides the style I want. So this combined together, I know that I will find in the place using the prettier extension just to sort my classes. And I know that it helps me to maintain the classes using the predictable outcome, using the important.
I like the answer. And I think everyone in this audience also knows that each of us organizes information differently in our own minds, and each of us finds our own solutions to problems. This man's solutions are the ones that work for him, and we have every right to question why he does it that way, and he's explaining it again and again. He's got very, very good reasons to back that up, and I really appreciate that. Of course, another person may choose a different solution, and that's why we need all of us, and there aren't just 3 of us in the room. Everyone finds their own solutions using the same tools and combination of tools, and this Tailwind CSS sounds like a very useful, and what's the word you use when you can configure it? There's a word with a C. You can customizable, tool. So thank you again very much, Tobiasz.
Thank you very much.
Give him a huge hand. We can discuss this all day. We could.